Summary: the book Key of the Great Mysteries, written by Eliphas Levi, presents an extensive and detailed exploration of the life, its teachings, and mystical philosophy of Eliphas Levi, Alphonse Louis Constant, a prominent 19th century French occultist and scholar. It begins with a biographical overview of Levi's early life, religious education, struggle with ecclesiastical authorities, an eventual break from traditional clerical life to pursue esoteric studies. Levi's intellectual journey led him to delve deeply into ancient wisdom, sacred texts, and occult sciences, including the Kabbalah, magic, and symbolism. Central to the book is Levi's philosophical and mystical synthesis, which integrates religion, science, and esotericism into a coherent worldview. His core doctrine revolves around the unity of God, its reconciliation of faith and reason, and the transformative power of charity as the highest spiritual principle. His works emphasize the importance of understanding ancient mysteries through symbols, numbers, and sacred alphabets, particularly the Hebrew Kabbalistic tradition and the Tarot. The book delves into Levi's analysis of religious dogma, the nature of faith, and the relationship between science and spirituality. He advocates for a religion based on universal charity, harmony, and intellectual rigor, transcending sectarian disputes and dogmatic rigidity. The text also discusses phenomena attributed to occult forces, such as magnetism, spirit manifestations, alchemy, and magical practices, explaining them through the lens of natural laws, sympathetic vibrations, and the astral light. Levi's writings underscore the eternal struggle between good and evil, the moral responsibility of human freedom, and the spiritual evolution of the soul. He interprets biblical allegories, mystical numbers, and symbols as keys to unlocking cosmic truths and human destiny. The book finishes by highlighting Levi's vision of a future spiritual renaissance, where knowledge, faith, and charity converge to uplift humanity in a new era of enlightenment and harmony. Highlights: Eliphas Levi's life journey from a seminary student to a leading 19th century occultist, marked by spiritual rebellion and intellectual exploration. The unification of faith, reason, and science as the foundation of true religion and mystical knowledge. The pivotal role of Kabbalah, sacred alphabets, and symbolism in revealing ancient mysteries and universal truths. Charity as the supreme spiritual principle, transcending dogma and uniting all true believers. Explanation of occult phenomena like spirit manifestations, magnetic influences, and alchemy as natural laws governed by astral light. The eternal cosmic conflict between good and evil, interpreted as a moral and spiritual evolution of humanity. Levi's vision of a future era marked by enlightenment, spiritual harmony, and the triumph of intelligence and love. Key insights: integration of science and faith. Levi advocates that science and faith are complementary, each within its own domain, and neither should contradict the other. Faith addresses the unknown and infinite mysteries that reason alone cannot grasp, while science deals with observable reality. This balanced approach counters the common narrative of conflict between religion and science, promoting a harmonious coexistence essential for spiritual and intellectual advancement. Symbolism and numbers as universal language. The book emphasizes that ancient symbols, alphabets, and numbers encode profound metaphysical truths. The Hebrew alphabet, tarot cards, and sacred geometry serve as keys to understanding the universe's hidden order. This highlights the esoteric belief that language and mathematics are not mere human constructs, but reflections of divine intelligence, offering a symbolic framework through which spiritual realities can be accessed and understood. Charity as divine essence. Charity love is presented as the Spirit of God and the core of all true religion. Levi posits that without charity, faith becomes hollow and science becomes cold. This insight underscores that the ultimate purpose of spiritual knowledge and practice is moral transformation and altruistic love, which harmonizes individual freedom with universal justice and compassion, duality and cosmic balance. The doctrine of duality, such as light and shadow, good and evil, active and passive principles, is a recurring theme. Levi interprets these opposites not as contradictory forces, but as necessary components of the cosmic equilibrium. This insight revealed a sophisticated understanding of the universe as a dynamic, balanced system where opposites coexist and interact to produce harmony and progression. Occult phenomena as natural laws. The book demystifies many occult phenomena, such as spirit manifestations, magnetism, and alchemy, by framing them as interactions with the astral light or mediator plastic, a subtle, universal fluid or force. This naturalistic explanation challenges superstition and fanaticism by proposing that what are often considered supernatural events can be scientifically studied, controlled, and understood through esoteric knowledge. The role of the adept and initiate. Levi's teachings stress the importance of disciplined spiritual practice, moral integrity, and intellectual rigor. The adept is someone who masters inner faculties, harmonizes will and intelligence, and uses occult knowledge responsibly. This insight highlights the ethical dimension of esoteric work, warning against misuse of power and emphasizing spiritual maturity as a prerequisite for true occult mastery. Transformation and resurrection as metaphors. The book frequently uses symbolic narratives such as death and rebirth, transformation of the soul, and resurrection to explain spiritual evolution. Physical death is portrayed as a transition or sleep from which the soul can awaken, reflecting the occult view of life as an ongoing cycle of learning and renewal. This insight offers a hopeful perspective on mortality and the continuity of consciousness beyond physical existence. Extended Analysis. Eliphas, Levi's work, represents a monumental attempt to reconcile and synthesize diverse streams of human knowledge, religion, philosophy, science, and occultism into a unified vision of existence. His life story, marked by conflict with orthodox religious authorities and personal hardships, mirrors the tension between established dogma and the quest for deeper truths. His early immersion in theology and languages provided a foundation for his later esoteric studies, particularly his profound engagement with the Kabbalah, which he considered the key to unlocking the great mysteries of existence. Levi's philosophical outlook is deeply rooted in the idea that the ultimate reality, God or the Absolute, is both incomprehensible and yet accessible through faith and symbolic language. He stresses that faith is not blind belief, but a necessary response to the limits of human reason. Science, while powerful, cannot fully grasp the infinite. Thus, faith and science must coexist as complementary forces. This perspective is particularly relevant in contemporary dialogues between science and spirituality, offering a historic precedent for integrative approaches. The centrality of charity in Levi's teachings elevates love from mere sentiment to a cosmic principle that embodies divine intelligence and justice. Charity is portrayed as the creative and sustaining force of the universe, the true spirit behind all religious traditions. This universality positions charity as a bridge across sectarian divides and as a practical guide for moral conduct. Levi's vision challenges exclusive or dogmatic religious views by framing true religion as a manifestation of universal love and justice rather than rigid doctrine. Levi's detailed discussion of occult phenomena demystifies many practices, often relegated to superstition, by explaining spirit apparitions, magnetism, and alchemical transmutations as interactions with an astral light or universal fluid. Kant situates occult science within a naturalistic framework governed by laws as precise and lawful as physics or chemistry. This approach not only legitimizes occult studies, but also warns against their misuse, emphasizing the need for ethical discipline and understanding. The dialectic of opposites, theme pervasive in Levi's writings, reflects a sophisticated metaphysics where good and evil, light and darkness, are not absolute antagonists, but complementary forces necessary for cosmic harmony and human growth. This challenges simplistic moral dualism and invites a more nuanced recognition of complexity in spiritual and ethical life. Levi's interpretation of biblical and mystical symbolism through the lens of Kabbalah and sacred numbers provides a key to understanding ancient religious texts is coded wisdom rather than literal history. His use of the tarot and Hebrew letters as repositories of divine knowledge suggests a hidden structure to reality accessible only through initiation and study. This hermeneutic enriches the study of religion, philosophy, and mythology by revealing the interconnectedness of symbols across cultures and epochs. Finally, Levi's vision of human destiny as a process of spiritual evolution, where freedom, moral responsibility, and love lead to immortality and union with the divine, offers a profound and hopeful eschatology. Its concept of resurrection and transformation transcends dogmatic Christianity to encompass universal principles of renewal, growth, and harmony with cosmic law. In summary, the book offers a comprehensive and profound account of Eliphas Levi's life and teachings, highlighting his role as a bridge between ancient esoteric wisdom and modern spiritual thought. His synthesis of faith, reason, charity, and occult science remains influential and relevant, inviting a re-evaluation of the mysteries of existence through the lens of universal love, symbolic knowledge, and moral courage. Summary of Eliphas Levi, The Key to the Great Mysteries, Society of Ancient Sciences, Introduction and Early Life of Eliphas Levi Alphonse Louis Constant. Known as Eliphas Levi, was a French occultist born in 1810 in Paris. Raised by modest parents, he was sent to a seminary where he excelled in languages and theology. Capable of reading the Bible in its original texts by age 18, Levi's early spiritual experiences included a deep connection with a young girl he taught catechism to, which awakened his youthful passion and caused conflict with his ecclesiastical superiors. After confessing his love for the girl, Levi was denied ordination and left the seminary at 26, a decision that led to his mother's suicide and a difficult early career involving various artistic and literary jobs. Spiritual awakening and rejection of Orthodox religion. Levi's spiritual journey led him to the convent of Solesmes, where he immersed himself in ancient Christian writings, Gnostic texts, and occult literature. This period marked a profound transformation as he rejected traditional doctrines like hell and free will, embracing instead a vision of universal salvation in the future kingdom of the Holy Spirit. Following this, Levi abandoned Orthodox religion, faced persecution, imprisonment, and ostracism, yet continued his occult studies and writings, including his influential Bible of Liberty. Occult studies and influences throughout the 1840s and 1850s. Levi deepened his knowledge of occultism, connecting with influential figures such as Edward Schur and English occultists. He published key works including Dogma and Ritual of High Magic and History of Magic, which formed a trilogy foundational to modern occult tradition. His disciples included prominent occultists like Pappus. Levi's lifestyle was disciplined, emphasizing spiritual calm, physical cleanliness, regulated diet, and mental focus as essential to magical and spiritual work. The Key to the Great Mysteries. Structure and philosophize magnum opus, The Key to the Great Mysteries, structured as a synthesis of ancient wisdom, combining religious, philosophical, and natural mysteries into a coherent occult science. The work is divided into 3 parts: religious mysteries, philosophical mysteries, and natural mysteries. Religious mysteries. Levi explores the existence of God as a fundamental mystery beyond human comprehension. emphasizing faith as the necessary pathway toward divine truth. He discusses the nature of true religion as universal charity, distinguishing it from superstition and dogmatic rigidity. Levi highlights the essential role of faith, hope, and charity as virtues that transcend reason, yet complement it. The unity of God, the concept of the Trinity, and the spiritual significance of religious symbols and dogmas are analyzed through allegorical numerology and esoteric interpretation, philosophical mysteries. Here, Levi delves into the nature of truth, reason, justice, and sacrifice. He argues that faith and science are complementary forces that must coexist harmoniously. He addresses the human condition, moral law, and the dynamic interplay of good and evil, framing these dualities in the context of spiritual evolution and cosmic law. The role of free will, responsibility, and the pursuit of virtue are underscored as essential for spiritual progress. Natural mysteries. Levi presents occult science's understanding of nature, focusing on the universal magical agent, light, or astral fluid which permeates and animates all matter and life. He explains magnetism, electricity, and the fluidic body as the mediators between spirit and matter. Phenomena such as magnetism, somnambulism, hallucinations, spirit manifestations are examined scientifically and esoterically, with explanations for supernatural occurrences rooted in the interaction of astral light and human faculties. Phenomena of spirit manifestations and Magic Levi investigates spirit manifestations, mediumship, and magical operations, distinguishing true occult science from superstition and fraud. He explains how hallucinations and spirit phenomena arise from the mediating astral light, which can be influenced by human will and imagination. The role of the mediator plastic, or astral body, is fundamental in explaining trance, magnetism, and spirit communication. Levi warns about the dangers of improper use of these forces, citing cases of madness and death resulting from abuse or ignorance, the nature of good and evil. And the role of the devil. Levi offers a Kabbalistic and symbolic interpretation of good and evil, God and the devil. He argues that the devil is not a separate supernatural being, but a personification of the shadow, ignorance, and disorder within the universe and human nature. Evil is seen as a relative consequence of human error, and ignorance rather than an absolute force. The struggle between good and evil is integral to spiritual evolution, with love, charity, and justice as the ultimate triumphs. The science of the will and spiritual transformations. Levi emphasizes the paramount importance of the human will as the creative and transformative force. Through disciplined use of willpower, individuals can master their astral bodies, influence physical reality, and advance spiritually. He presents axioms on the nature of will, courage, sacrifice, and moral responsibility that underpin effective magical practice. The will, aligned with reason and faith, is portrayed as the key to personal sovereignty and spiritual freedom. The continued relevance of ancient wisdom and the Kabbalah. Levi highlights the Kabbalah as the foundation of all esoteric knowledge, encoding divine truths in symbols, numbers, and letters. He explains how ancient traditions, including biblical allegories, mythologies, and numerology, interconnect to reveal hidden spiritual laws. The tarot is presented as a symbolic compendium of cosmic and spiritual principles. Levi's work seeks to revive and synthesize this ancient wisdom with contemporary occult science, providing a roadmap for modern initiates, practical occult science, and the path to mastery in the final sections. Levi discusses practical methods for spiritual and physical regeneration, including the prolongation of youth and the resurrection of the body through occult knowledge. He relates teachings on magical transformation, the control of instincts, and the mastery of magnetism and astral forces. He warns against the misuse of magic and stresses the ethical and moral discipline required for true spiritual advancement. legacy. An influence Eliphas' legacy is that of a bridge between ancient occult wisdom and modern esoteric practice. His writings influenced generations of occultists and magicians, establishing principles that remain foundational in the study of magic, Kabbalah, and spiritual philosophy. His life, marked by struggle, persecution, and dedication, exemplifies the path of the initiate seeking ultimate truth. Key insights: the creation of faith and reason. Levi insists that faith and reason are complementary and must coexist for true understanding. Universal charity as core religion. True religion is defined by charity, love, and moral discipline, transcending dogmatic divisions. Astral light as a magical agent. The astral fluid is the universal medium through which all magical and spiritual phenomena operate. The will as creative force. The disciplined human will is the instrument of spiritual transformation and mastery. Symbolism in Kabbalah. Sacred symbols. Numbers and alphabets encode profound spiritual truths accessible through esoteric study. Illusions and reality of spirit. Phenomena, apparitions, and spirit manifestations have natural explanations linked to astral light and human perception, but also convey real occult truths. Good and evil as dual forces. Evil is a relative, not absolute, force necessary for spiritual growth and balance. Moral discipline is essential. Without ethical and moral discipline, occult powers lead to destruction and madness. Occultism as science and art. Magic is both a rigorous science of natural forces and an art of spiritual mastery. In Key of the Great Mysteries, Eliphas Levi presents a profound synthesis of religious, philosophical, and natural mysteries through occult science. His work bridges ancient traditions and modern esotericism, emphasizing the unity of faith and reason, the power of will, and the transformative potential of occult knowledge. His detailed exploration of spirit phenomena, morality, and cosmic principles offers a comprehensive framework for understanding the hidden dimensions of existence and guides the aspirant towards spiritual liberation and mastery.